Garrett, please tell us about Julia.
I am Julia tonight, and I'm a little bit in the dark because I can. I also prefer to pronounce my playbook I chose in the German manner, which is Wurm, because I can. Because the Wurm is all about power and taking control about others. And I'm very much looking forward to use the bargaining ceremony with one of you. And because you need smoke for that, it was an obvious choice that I smoke cigarettes. But I smoke black cigarettes because I can. And I haven't thought a lot about my parents recently because I can afford. They are academics. They're not interested in me, and nor am I in them a lot. That's pretty much you need to know about me at the moment. I have to make very important decisions tonight, which is like, who of you is a treasure to me and who is merely currency?
What's your collection of your objects that you keep?
I wanted to have something which I can carry around with me. Not that I couldn't have something bigger or larger or more prominent, but just because it's more convenient, and I can. It's a collection of smells, like of scents, and they are on tissues in little capsules. And if somebody is interested in having a look, I am very sure everybody will find something which they would consider as valuable to them. But let's see how that turns out.
How long has your family lived in Mercy Falls?
I would consider, because we consider ourselves as intellectuals. And I would say the way you describe Merciful to me, it sounds like you already count as intellectual when you're teachers.
Right.
It's that kind of town, right?
Simple town.
That's the definition of rural, when teachers are intellectuals. It's a very simple and precise definition, I would say. And so I consider them to be teachers, and they might have been moved there if they are at a public school.
Mm-hmm. Do they teach at the high school where you go to school?
I would prefer not, if they're not, but I assume there's no other way around that. So yes, they do.
Good. Your wormness, your dragonness, is this just like an affective personality, or are you actually like dragon, biologically speaking?
So I have built up this second kind of persona around me. And at this moment, I don't know yet anymore what is true and what is just my part of teenage identity. Mm-hmm. So I would say it's still in the unclear for me as well, what I am.
All right, good, thank you. All right, then Tomer, please tell us about Zakuronas. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, Zakuronas. So Zakuronas is a ghoul, and that just means killed at some point in the past, right? Or, from...
They're dead at some point.
Yeah, they've been dead. So, and I say they because really Zakuronas is a construct, about 4 different individuals that have been put together, kind of Frankenstein monster style. All 4 of those individuals are either geeks or outcasts or somebody who was murdered sometime in the recent past. And I think Zakuronas's or Zach's father is, I want to say, one of those kind of like mad scientists characters. So I called him Dr. Stein. Stranger Things has been recent, so I just grabbed that one. I think the relationship between them isn't necessarily very good. I mean, Dr. Stein just kind of doesn't really act so much like a dad, but more like, treats Zach a little bit like a creation half the time. The relationship isn't very, loving, obviously. Like maybe Dr. Stein even has something to do with where the parts came from. I'm not sure. Or we're not sure.
Interesting. Like, you think Dr. Stein may have killed these kids to make?
It's hard to say. Probably not, because I have memories of some of the deaths, and the deaths were a lot of times due to different kinds of bullies or other individuals. But maybe Dr. Stein just feels a little suspicious. So I'm not 100% sure how he acquired the parts. Let's put it that way. Not 100% responsible, really, but my best interest may not be what he's about.
Good. What are your hungers?
Fear, because all of these kids were killed by while being bullied. I kind of chose what the right hand wants, which is where you have another hunger, right? And I think the other hunger is kind of like revenge.
Hmm.
And so maybe this combination of getting revenge on those who were responsible, but also instilling fear in them.
So your hunger is not that you want to be afraid, it's that you want to instill fear in people.
Yeah, and also I want to feel that fear because like
Okay, so it takes
such
you
a part of
both.
me that maybe I enjoy it or something. I don't know.
No, I love it. That's great. I just wanted to clarify that. That's great.
Yeah.
When you go to school every day,
I think
how do
it's
you dress?
a little bit of probably like a hodgepodge. Like every day there's like a different combination of things and they don't all make sense.
Mhm.
So sometimes it'll be maybe like a blouse that I used to wear as Sharona, but then like Aku's and like Zed's jeans or something. So like I'm a combination of these four kids and I kind of like just
Mhm.
take different pieces of their clothes and wear them in different combinations every day.
I see. So your name is actually a combination of these four kids'
Right.
names. Got it. Zed, Akuji,
Yes.
Sharona, and Silas gives us Zakuronas. Got it.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's do backstory on Julia and Zakuronas. Julia, who do you consider to be a treasure and who do you consider to be mere currency?
Adam is definitely a treasure to me. Yes, and I would
Holly?
say everybody else is mere currency.
Okay. Why is Adam a treasure?
Because of his haircut.
Okay, it's good. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a perfect teenager reason. I love it. Adam gets a string on you, and you get a string on everyone else. So
Yes, and everybody has to come up with something mean I said to them.
oh, is that on the sheet? They have to say like why?
We can skip that to get more into the session, and we find other things mean to say. I'm pretty sure I'm able to do that. But
I want to know at the outset what
Yes.
Julia said that was mean to you, each of you. Whoever's got their mean thing Julia said, throw it out there.
ooh,
Is Julia really popular?
nobody would dare to say something that I'm unpopular, I think. Maybe that makes me popular. Yeah.
I have an idea. So we established last time that my character wore black to school one day and someone called me Wednesday Addams. And ever since then that stuck, even though I don't wear a lot of black. So maybe you were the one
Oh, nice.
who began Wednesday Addams.
Yes, that was the case. Yeah, I remember the day. It was actually a good idea.
Awesome. Fall, what did Julia say to you?
I had my hand up in class when I was like a sophomore. That's I don't know how states goes. Okay, the first grade one, grade 7 is however it works. The first grade of high school.
A freshman, ninth grade.
Sure, yeah. I was wearing my glasses and I raised my hand, and it took the teacher like a really long time to notice me and call on me. And when they did, you said something like, "Who even is that?" From that, it sort of set the tone for the rest of high school, where everybody just kept like keeping me on the peripheral and deleting me.
I was really surprised that it wasn't meant to be an insult.
Zach, what did Julia say that was mean to you?
I think maybe my first day to school form, there was maybe this kind of dismissal. And so, it kind of not so much made me a wallflower, but like shuttered me over to the corner, like nobody really cared. Maybe there were people who were curious about me or whatever, but now it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, forget about this. It's the same old geeks and outcasts and whatever.
Julia's terrible, boy. All right then, Zach, what are your backstory things?
So I've got 2 backstory things. One is someone reminded you what love was when you thought that death had stolen it away from you forever.
What happened to you? Was it like a big deal for the town? Like did it become a very big public shameful thing that the town experienced and went through and all that kind of stuff? Or was it like swept under the rug and nobody really knew about it or remembers, etc.?
Like the missing kids? or the
Yeah.
murdered kids. I think it's
Yeah.
probably like kind of swept under the rug, or maybe there was like a search party for one and they went missing, and I was like, whatever. And I think
You should know this is like very Mercy Falls, right? Like
Right.
bad shit happens to people and the town just moves on like it didn't
Right.
happen, right? That's canon. So yeah, sorry, just want to throw that in there.
Sure. And so like these kids, people can probably guess that parts of me are from these kids. I don't know if the town really knows or cares, and some of it might have been, a year ago, or this kid that disappeared 2 years ago, or I don't know what.
I could imagine having from all these kids still a tissue with their scent.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe also something unidentifiable, which is then the starting point of Zach's creation.
I wonder if Adeland was even here for this. Like, I want to know if this happened pre or post.
I think you might have
arriving.
to have missed all that, Addie, right? Because we've established that you're fairly new to town. I mean, I think
exactly.
you being new to town is kind of an important part of your character. So who reminded Zach what love was when Zach thought that death had stolen it away from them forever?
Snap.
Would your parents ever come and like pick you up or something, or show themselves around school?
My parents? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My parents are like, they go to every meeting.
Oh, that's perfect then. Maybe I've just seen that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like hanging out on the edge and just watching, those interactions.
For
I
sure.
think that's great.
What's the string exchange for that one?
I give you a string. The other one is, did anyone watch you die? And if so, I gain we gain 2 strings on each other.
Maybe like one of you saw one of the 4 die, right? I don't think you would have seen all 4 of them be killed, right?
If they're missing kids, what about them having gone into the forest and going to that cave, right? Like, because it's all different intervals. So what if the main thing that holds it together is that cave that we saw in the mainline Mercy Falls story, with Big Man leading Margot to the cave, and there's all that crazy stuff.
There was Akuji, and I accompanied Akuji to this cave and then said farewell to him or her. Then she walked into this cave and was never seen alive again. Is that dead enough?
So that's pretty good. I mean, Julia, basically, it sounds like you knew Akuji was going to die by going into that cave.
I didn't know. It was just an assumption I made. It happened anyway.
I'm okay with that. So Akuji would remember that, you brought her to that cave, and then she went further, and either she, maybe she asked you to come along or not, but you decided not to join her, right?
No. Take the first step. I wait outside for you.
Yes, that's great.
I've decided to take Becky and Debbie out of weekend detention. They're still going to be characters in our fiction, but they're not going to be in detention to make room for Zach and Julia. Of these 2 seats, Julia and Zach, just grab one of those, and on the classroom tab of the character sheet, we'll kind of throw you in there. I want to get a chance to see the new characters at home too, but I think I might wait until after the first day of detention. So maybe we'll see you arriving at detention, and then when we're done with detention for the day, if we get that far, we'll see them in their home life, because I do like to see every character in their home life just briefly to get a sense of where they come from, what it's like for them. The other NPCs have filed in. Zach, I think you would probably come in. I'm going to save Julia for last. Julia seems like the kind of person who would arrive last for detention. Actually, Heather is not there. Heather never shows up. But Zach, you show up. What's your ensemble presently as you come into detention?
I'm going to say it's kind of like the one I described. I think I've got like a blouse that almost has some kind of maybe like an Asian influence or something about it. It's just like ripped jeans, a little bit of a tear around the knee, and it's fraying a little bit around the bottom. But then the shoes are almost kind of like those nice black shoes, like not ballet shoes. What do you call them? Like the ones that are kind of glossy and have the little buckle.
Leather shoes, like a little girl, right?
Like a girl, yeah. Mary Jane's, yes, that sounds right.
What's the first thing you do when you walk into class? Everyone's there except for Julia.
Probably just walk in, focus on Robbie, and just walk straight to the seat behind him and sit down. I don't think I look at anybody.
I have a question. I think Robbie used to bully one of your 4 aspects, we'll say.
Yeah.
Who was it, and what they bully them about?
I think it was Zed. So Zed, is kind of like just this sweet, nice kid, kind of a little short. He's the redhead kind of albino boy in the school, just kind of like a bowl cut or whatever. Small and weak, probably like in the early 80s, you totally consider him just like effeminate or something. Although nowadays he'd just be like, just a kid, right? Anybody who was on the basketball team or whatever would probably be like, oh, this guy is he's like a little girl or whatever, So he probably got pushed around a little bit that way.
What do you have on your person right now that would be recognizably Zed's?
Object-wise? Totally like one of those mechanical pencils sticking out of like my pocket. Like not a pocket protector, but I do have maybe I was like the kid that always had the click, click, click thing going on. So.
But you do have a pocket protector. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
It's super like 80s nerd, right?
Yeah.
Robbie's like, he's the captain of the basketball team. He's tall, crew cut, white guy, right? Face in hand, elbow on desk thing, right? As you come in, he's like totally bored, not wanting to be here right now. When he first walked in, incidentally, Fall, he kind of gave you an ugly look because you're the reason why he's here, right? But he sits down. He's not trying to cause any trouble because Coach DeVry is right there. And he sees you come in and he's like, oh my God, look at you. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm not some fashion plate. I'm not saying I know anything about that kind of stuff, but I know that you look a mess, Zach. Is that a pocket protector?
There's this kind of like the slow blush and look down, and I can't even help it, right? Like I'm just embarrassed and I'm turning like total albino red blush. I shuffle over there, but I kind of turn around and I take my pencil out and I take the pocket protector out and stick it in my pocket, pencil back in my pocket, and then I just sit down as if that kind of absolves me.
I actually want you to keep your cool because I think we've established that Robbie used to tease you, right? He's like, putting it in your pocket doesn't make it any better, Zach. Jesus Christ, you're just like that nerd Zed. Now keep your cool. It's a move, yeah. And it says when you keep your cool, just name what you're afraid of and then roll a call.
I'm afraid he'll think I'm as weak as Zed was. Because like right now, personality-wise, although I'm feeling the shame immediately, I think my primary personality up front is kind of like a Kuji, and she wouldn't really give a shit so much, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me which is like, wait. I don't need to give a shit what this guy thinks. But, Zed's first reaction would always be to be like, oh, just embarrassed. +2. Okay.
Yeah, you got a really good result.
There you go.
You get to keep your cool and you gain an insight. You get to ask me a question about the situation and take +1 forward when acting on it. Go ahead and just think about it. I'm gonna cut for a sec, but just think. I'm gonna check back in on everybody else before Julia gets there. So, Fall, how are you feeling right now with Robbie? Because Robbie's acting like an asshole already. He already kind of like gave you an ugly look. This is gonna be a long day, right?
If it's the day after getting hit in the face with a basketball, maybe he has like black eyes or dark eyes or whatever. Yeah. And I say, pay no attention to the raccoon. And I start dragging my chair back to my desk.
Oh, that's a shutdown. Go ahead and roll call.
9, 10. Snap.
Yeah. Choose one from the list. Let's look at Robbie. Robbie has no strings on you, so you can take a string on him.
I'll give him a condition, and it's cowed.
Nice. Cowed is a good one. Who's the first one to start laughing as soon as Fall says, pay no attention to the raccoon?
Yeah, well, I think for Addie, she's just seen the guy who she used to date get shut down by the guy.
You guys used to date, yeah.
But he dumped me in like a real mean way as well. So she's seen the guy she has a crush on just like shut down the guy who she used to go out with. So she's just going to be like at one of those like laughters that you can't quite contain or you can't get back in before it's up. And I don't think she has a quip. I think she just like laughs at Robbie
or whatever. Yeah.
At Robbie very dismissively. Like that sounds about right.
And then, of course, Chad jumps in there, right? Because Chad has to, right? Like, he can't not pass that up. And he's like, ha, 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 raccoon. He's like, that's pretty funny, Fall. Jesus Christ. I didn't know you were a funny guy like that.
All you hear is the screeching sound of the chair as I keep dragging it very slowly.
Okay, we've had that little moment. Julia, make your entrance, please.
Yeah, am I late? I don't. Oh, Hiva is also not there yet, right? Today I take her chair. I think I sit down at her place. Actually, I want to get my treasure's attention for sure. All the time in the same place next to him doesn't draw attention, but like irritating slightly. That's important. So I purposefully choose that everybody can see the seat where Heather usually sits. I have a flouncy dress and big boots like Doc Martens. Mm-hmm. They already became a thing recently, or maybe because of me, who knows. I have a yo-yo in my pocket, but even me, I wouldn't show that to anybody, but even me, I'm too afraid to pull that out because I'm not sure yet if for 16, 17 years old, it's a cool thing to have. But I have it with me and I like to use it. It's good against nervosity. And so I sit down in the back and I'm ready to absorb the energy of the class and the sounds which are around me. And I have a careful look what Adam does.
How do you react, Adam?
I don't know how to react, so I don't do much. I'm not going to make any big gestures in front of the class. That's not.
It's amazing for me to see from this perspective, from behind, how much an effort you make not to react to me. An evil smile comes on my face. Yeah, he's mine already. He's working really hard.
Are you trying to turn Adam on weirdly or what? Like, is it...
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do so by reacting like with little noises. Every time he makes a little noise, I also make a little noise. So he knows that we have a secret kind of communication. Like if he drops his pen, I will drop my pen as well. If he moves his chair, I will move my chair. It should be recognizable after a while.
That will screw him up because usually he is the one imitating what
Imitating
others are
other
doing.
people, yeah.
Exactly. So why not turn that around?
I love it.
Best
Yeah,
way
so-
to handle people. The good thing is I'm really bad at turning people on. So I roll
Yeah,
at -1.
Approach to turn someone on. But...
Yeah.
And I roll a 5.
Go ahead, Mark and XP. What are you thinking right now about
I'm
this?
like, she totally knows I'm a fake, and like she's mirroring my gestures. So what do I do now? And so like I more or less freeze in my seat, and then that I hope this is neutral. But I'm trying to stare dead ahead and not move.
As I do.
It's such a weird scene. I love it. All right, good. So you're both now just looking really still and straight ahead. And Coach DeVry says, well, now that I have all of your attention, here I am getting my 6 in. Now that I have all your attention, does anybody know where Heather is? Heather, I was going to say Langenkamp, but I won't do that. Not an Elm Street character. Heather Jameson. Anybody know Heather here? All right, then. So that's no on Heather. Well, kids, there are many, many roads you can take in life. Some of those roads lead to really dark places. And one of those roads that leads to a really dark place is not coming to weekend detention. Where do we go from there? You know, it's so hard to say. But you're all good kids. You're all here. You're on your path to redemption. Not Heather Jameson. He kind of makes a note and sets his stuff down. He goes through some rules. He tells you, all right, we're going to be here until 5 o'clock. If you have homework, you can take it out and do it right now. If you want to just put your head on the desk and have a nap, I don't mind that either. You start snoring, I might have to come wake you up, so don't snore. But we'll have a break at noon. We have bag lunches prepared for you. We'll go get your bag lunch, and then we'll come back. 5 o'clock, be able to leave. Does anybody have any questions about how today is going to go?
Can we open the windows, Coach?
Yes. I should mention, I think you guys are not actually in a classroom. I'd like to suggest that you guys are actually, a la the Breakfast Club, I think you're in the library. Big 2-story open air library space. And there is like a bank of windows like on one side that like look out into the street, right? And you guys are just there in the center on some tables that have been arranged for the purpose. He says, open some windows. What do you, it's November right now. We'll freeze. Come on.
I just get so pent up in here, Coach. You know how I get.
He's like, yeah, all right. Yeah, you can go open some windows. Go for it, please.
Don't worry, guys. It'll be cool. He goes and opens it.
Nice. He says, all right, well, so if there's no other questions, everybody please have a seat. And he kind of sits down. And you guys are that way for a little bit. Probably like 30 minutes, an hour pass. And it's just kind of sitting there quietly, right? You're not allowed to talk. You are allowed to work on homework. I'm going to go around the table and find out what you're each doing during this quiet time where you can't do anything except personal things. Fall, what are you doing during your hour?
Folding up a piece of paper into an airplane and writing a note on it, and I'm going to throw it at Adeline.
Nice. Well, Adeline, what are you doing during this time?
She can't concentrate. She's just got one eye on the door and one eye on the clock, and then one eye behind her at the empty desk. So,
what are you thinking about the fact that Heather's not there? You had a job today.
yeah, nervous, anxious. She didn't turn up. It's like a good excuse for why I didn't bring back her hair or anything.
Right. Oh, that's right. You're supposed to bring back some of her hair too for Aunt Evelyn. Yeah.
Is there a way I could like maybe get around this with someone else give me some of their hair and I can say it's hers? Like I'm just running like all the other game plans.
Yeah, it's good. Julia, what are you doing during this hour of quiet time? It's that hour's going to be interrupted, but not yet. So.
Yeah, it's going to be to be interrupted. I think so because the window is open. I have to say that's a good idea because there's a dead butterfly on the window. And I pick that up with one of my tissues and prepare another capsule because when I heat this butterfly up, it will smell like summer. And that's a scent which might be valuable for my collection.
So you are taking some time to collect a dead butterfly and procure its scent.
Yes, and I want to do so that everybody can see that I'm doing that.
Coach Derby will walk over to you at a certain point while you're there fiddling with your stuff. And he'll lean over you and he'll say,
No, he doesn't. I turn around and I'm gone again. Gone already. I might shut him down already before he says something.
He's just looking at you like, what are you doing? Right?
And I want to make him look stupid while doing so.
So what do?
I just turn around and pretend that he's not around at all. It's like
you just walk past him.
Yeah, even worse. Like I step on his shoe. And don't say excuse me or anything.
Nice. Yeah, it's a shutdown. Go for it. Roll cold.
That still doesn't help me. I only have a 6.
All right. Mark an XP. He doesn't have time to reply for reasons we're going to discuss in a moment. I want to just finish the table and find out what everyone's doing during that hour of quiet time before I make my move there. Adam, what are you doing during that quiet time?
Yeah, I think I keep trying to stay in a neutral pose and just sitting there on the verge of a panic attack.
Nice. What are you afraid is going to happen?
That's people somehow realize that I'm, that I'm fake and it's that I'm sticking out like Zach, who isn't even making an effort to hide the weirdness. So,
roll plus cold.
Yeah, that's -1. That's great. I'm not cool.
Not great.
Yeah, so that's a 3.
You're sitting there and you're just like trying to look so calm and collected and like, oh my God, is everyone like, what's going on? What's going on? And I think you're starting to break out into sweat, kind of freaking out a little bit. Your hand's starting to tremble a little bit. And Coach DeVry comes up to you and he's like, he looks at you, right? And you're trembling. You look flush. You're sweating. You don't look great. And he says, son, are you high right now? Are you going through some kind of withdrawal? You look terrible.
No. I'm. Everything is fine.
Adam, right? Adam, come with me. I've got an office set up here, the librarian's office. Just come on. Just come with me. We're gonna make a phone call.
I can assure you, I'm not doing drugs or anything.
Adam, I didn't make this an option. I just come with me, please. And then he just like goes.
I follow him.
And this little study room like looks out onto the street. And he says, just have a seat in here for a moment, please. I'm gonna try to get a hold of your parents. You don't look well. And I don't want I'm just this is not what I want this weekend, okay? So just have a seat, sit tight, okay? And then he closes the door.
Yep. I sit down, first crossing my legs again, and then reminding myself not to do that and sitting straight.
Hold that thought, though. I'm not done making my move. Meanwhile, Zach, how do you spend that hour?
With the keep my cool, I was able to ask a question about.
Oh, yeah, please. do.
I think the Akuji part of Zach thinks or is trying to find out information about the cave, and kind of like she remembers maybe getting either strangled or something from behind, but she doesn't know who did it, right? So I think she's trying to get information about that. And because it was like a physical action, she expects it to be somebody strong. So I think what she's trying to do is like suss out, try to go and get information about that. How does she put Robbie on edge so that maybe he reveals something if she's like tries to.
Robbie used to run with some boys. Okay, they're no longer around. There was a terrible car accident, and only Robbie survived. The other 3 of them all died in this car accident. The best way to set Robbie on edge is to make noises or otherwise try to remind Robbie, even if just at a sort of subconscious level, of what was a really traumatic moment in his life. This was, 2 summers ago.
Okay. I think that's what Zach is doing, is like making little like origami cars and like crashing them into shit.
Cool.
And under her breath, making those sounds and just kind of like playing around on her desk like that.
He will turn around at a couple points during that like quiet hour when you're doing that, and he'll just like look over his shoulder, like just give you like the ugliest look. And he's chosen to put his head down and take a nap, so he'll just like kind of put his head down, and you can see that he's like he's not just putting his head down to like take a nap, like he's actually like covering his ears, and like he's like having a little PTSD, right? Like he's not good right now. Is that satisfying your hunger by chance? Hi, listeners. This is Jason. If you are enjoying Mercy Falls 83, please consider supporting the Gauntlet on Patreon. There are a lot of costs associated with producing Pocket Size Play, from editing, hosting fees, music licenses, and more. Your Patreon pledge helps pay for all of that stuff and indeed encourages us to create more Pocket Size Play. As a bonus, if you pledge $2 or more, you also get early access to Pocket Size Play episodes, which is pretty cool. So go to patreon.com/Gauntlet and support the show today. Thanks.